Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video I am painting the sky and some clouds. This illustration actually came completely from the imagination. I was a little bit inspired by taking a walk with my dog and looking up at the sky, which was clear pretty much and bright blue, like middle of the day, perfect weather, and you could see the moon. So that's where the inspiration came from, and then I wanted to add in some big fluffy clouds that kind of reflect like a sunset. So for this painting I am using the Daniel Smith Essential Watercolor Mixing Set. The colors that are included in the set that I'm using are Hansa Yellow Light, New Gamboge, Thela Blue, French Ultramarine, Pyrrole Scarlet, and Quinacridone Rose. I'm starting out by painting the sky, and I use a technique called glazing, which is essentially just building up your layers. So when I paint, I start with a very light layer, and then I keep layering on the pigment to build up the saturation of the color. And the paper I'm using is just a spare piece of watercolor paper I had laying around. I'm not sure what brand it is, but it's definitely hot press, and it's probably either Winsor & Newton or Arches, because that's typically what I buy. And the brushes I'm using are the Princeton Neptune series. I bought a set of 4, and I can link it down below, but it includes a 3/4 inch wash brush. It came with, I believe, a 4 and an 8 round brush, and then I believe it came with, it might have come with a 10 round, or maybe it was a liner, but it's a really nice set. I rarely use it because I'm typically always using the same Winsor & Newton brush for all of my paintings, but for this one I decided to switch things up. And as you can see, I'm now starting to build up those colors of the clouds. So I'm kind of adding like this sunset effect. So I'm imagining like a sunset is reflecting off of these clouds, just to, make it a little bit more fun and interesting. I really liked the drawing method that I used for this one. I used sort of like a hatching method to build up the volume of the circles in the clouds. I made sure to do varying sizes just to add a little bit more interest. The one thing I did notice when I was painting was that I usually gently erase lightly the pencil that I draw in, and in this one I didn't do that. So the pencil kind of blended in with the watercolor, which ended up making the watercolor a little bit muddy. So I'm building up the saturation of the clouds by layering on the paint to hopefully try to brighten up the clouds and get rid of that muddying effect that I created. In the future, a note to myself would be to remember to lightly erase my pencil marks. otherwise use a different type of pencil. I think I used like a 2B, which is a pretty soft pencil, so I probably should have used like a 2H. But generally when I'm drawing or sketching, I just grab whatever is closest to me. And that's what I did here. This painting was very unplanned. It was kind of like a spur of the moment where I was like, oh, I have an idea. I'm just gonna sit down and do it. But overall, I think it's good to do paintings like this once in a while where you don't put a lot of thought into it and you just kind of get creative and do whatever you want, just to kind of relax your brain from trying to have to plan so much on what you're painting, and to play around with the tools that you have. You tend to usually learn something when you do sort of like a spontaneous painting that you don't thoroughly plan out. Because I'm not painting this for any one thing or anything really. I'm just kind of painting to paint and have fun and experiment. And overall, I was able to build up these colors pretty well, even though I laid down that 2B pencil. Once I got that first layer on, it kind of locked in the pencil. So as I was layering more paint on top, I was able to brighten up those colors a lot more. So I think it turned out pretty well. I achieved what I kind of envisioned in my head. Now, if I were to do this again, I would probably go into more detail. I would probably change around some things, but for the most part, this is the idea I had in my head, and I was able to execute on it, which was good. Also, this is a really nice watercolor set to have if you're wanting to like start out in watercolor or upgrade your watercolors to a more professional grade. I definitely recommend this Essential Watercolors mixing set. The Daniel Smith watercolors in general are just super nice, super pigmented. And this set is relatively inexpensive for professional grade watercolors. It's a set of 6, and I believe it's around $35. But the tubes are the smaller tubes. I believe it's the 5 milliliter as opposed to the larger, I think they're 15 milliliter tubes. But overall, it's a really nice set. It's really good for teaching yourself how to mix watercolors and experimenting and playing around. And then as a final step, as always, I'm using my Polychromos Faber Castells to just add in some extra pigment, color. I really like the texture that these pencils produce. So I'm just going in and kind of defining those lines a little bit more. And these are excellent pencils as well. I highly recommend them. They're my personal favorites. They're just such great quality and they're light fast. And that is all that I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope you learned something, gave you some ideas on some things that you can do. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.